from Simanaha Siksa. Splendid instructions to the mind. And now we are embarking on verse number 6. So verse number 4, there are 4 obstacles has been mentioned. One is association with the non-devotees, absorbing in the Gramya Katha. Then having those 4-5 type of liberation. And the last one was the looking for the residence in Vaikuntha planet. And verse number 5, there are 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. So now we will be embarking on another obstacles, 2 of them, that will be described in verse number 6. Are cheta pragyat kapata kutinati bharakhara sharan mutre snatva dahasi katham atmanam apimam sadatvam gandharva giridharo padaprema vilasat suddhama bodho snatvatvam api nitaram mam cha sukhaya. O ruffian mind, why do you burn yourself and me, the soul, by bathing in the trickling urine of the great donkey of full-blown hypocrisy and duplicity? Instead, you should always bathe in the ocean of love emanating from the lotus feet of Sisi Gandharvika Giridhari, thereby delighting yourself and me. So this is description has been given that those devotees who have defeated the 6 enemies headed by the lust, anger, greed that we mentioned, may still be burned by the donkey urine of hypocrisy and deceit. What a wonderful instructions. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Bhajan Darpan commentary, this verse gives advice to those practitioners who may be able to subdue the 6 enemies of lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy, but have failed to vanquish the great enemies of deceit and hypocrisy. Prodyat kapata kutinati bharakhara ksharanamutre snatva. This verse describes bathing in the trickling urine of the donkey of complete ostentatious duplicity and hypocrisy. So there are 3 categories of spiritual practitioners or sadhaka. Swanishta sadhaka. Listen attentively, wonderful description has been given so we can figure it out where we stand in our devotional life. Swanishta sadhaka only endeavors to please Sri Bhagavan, Lord Hari, and completely reject all the regulations and injunctions of the Varnashrama Dharma. And there are, in detail, is given that this Swanishta devotee may exhibit hypocrisy. How? By seeing sense enjoyment instead of pleasing the Lord. Second, serving rich materialistic instead of Vaishnavas. And third one is desiring to accumulate wealth and opulence, or engaging in twisted logic instead of spiritual knowledge. So this is the first Swanishta sadhaka. Now he is going to explain the next. Parinishta sadhaka. They engage themselves in all prescribed activities, taking shelter of all the rites and rituals used to worship the Supreme Lord. These two types are grahasthas, householders. And I'm gonna go explain a little bit in detail about the Parinishta householder devotee. They worship the Lord by engaging in prescribed activities and rituals. But how they exhibit the second Parinishta devotee, hypocrisy or duplicity? By pretending to be strict, but privately being attached to mundane things, or by preferring the companies of non-devotees. What a wonderful. Madan Mohan Kundu Prabhu, can you please mute your phone, please? Because we don't know, something may get the noise. So let's read second time how the first Swanishta devotee present the hypocrisy, that by seeing the sense enjoyment instead of pleasing the Lord, serving rich materialistic instead of Vaishnavas, and desiring to accumulate wealth and opulence, or engaging in twisted logic instead of spiritual knowledge. That's Swanishta devotees. These are householders. And how the Parinishta devotees present the hypocrisy and deceit? By pretending to be strict, by privately being attached to mundane things, or by preferring the company of the non-devotees. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to tell us about the third. Third is Nirupeksha devotee. Third type of sadhana is Nirupeksha, no desire. A devotee who is renounced, such persons are of detached nature and not in grahastha ashram, maybe brahmacharya or vanaprastha or sannyas. All three types are benefited only when they become thoroughly honest and give up deceit, pretense, and hypocrisy. Otherwise, they are surely vanquished. So let's read about how the Nirapeksha devotees exhibit their hypocrisy or deceitfulness. So it says the Nirapeksha devotees are detached and live as renunciate. And how they will exhibit hypocrisy? That they are thinking, I'm an advanced Vaishnava, acting superior to others, collecting more than required, associating with improperly with the opposite sex in the name of spiritual practice. Befriending materialistic people with the hope for wealth, being concerned with external dress and rules, or neglecting the main purpose of spiritual life, keeping one's heart locked in a box while externally engaging in bhakti. So these are the Swanishta Bhakta, Parinishta Bhakta and Nirupeksha Bhakta, and how they use the hypocrisy or the deceitfulness is wonderfully explained by our Acharya Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we should know where we are. We have to cleanse out all this dirt if you are sincerely seeking the shelter at the lotus feet of the divine couple. So now we will read from the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We are reading from volume number 3. Chapter title is New Jagannath Puri. So I'll read one paragraph to bring up to the speed because our memory is so dull. We don't remember what we eat even in the dinner. Brahmananda wrote to Prabhupada asking him to advise the bank to transfer $5,000 into the account controlled by the boys, the trustee of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada gave permission and asked that the check be signed by the president and secretary because, quote, Brahmananda and Satsvaru are the main support for the purchasing this house, and Kirtananda is a supplement to this from his kitchen department, unquote. But he said that the check should be made to the seller, not to Mr. Price, Mr. Taylor, not to the even financier, Mr. Hall. Quote, the money and the society is yours, unquote, Srila Prabhupada acknowledged. Quote, you can spend in any way, but it is my duty to give you advice as ever well-wisher. That's where we stop. Then Mr. Price invited Brahmananda to meet with Mr. Hall, and he suggested that Brahmananda come prepared with a check for $5,000, which is opposite to what Prabhupada instructed. On the way, Mr. Price explained that Mr. Hall was perhaps the biggest real estate dealer in Manhattan, a multi-millionaire. He owned skyscrapers. Everything he owned was big. When Brahmananda entered Mr. Hall's office, he thought it was right out of a Hollywood movie, a conference room 10 times bigger than the 2nd Avenue Temple room. And seated at the head of the large oval table was Mr. Hall himself. The room was in semi-darkness with a few spotlights on Mr. Hall, who sat before a battery of telephones. Even as they began to discuss, Mr. Hall paused several times, picking up phones and talking to persons in various places across the country. You know, this is something that I have seen in the management, that when somebody asks you that, Prabhuji, I would like to speak to you, and when you commit your time, I think we should be sensitive enough to whoever call. Maybe you can pick up the phone, but just tell them that I'll call you back when I finish. Not divert, because I have seen that devotee fall so bad that you have asked special time because they want to convey some specific need. And then we entertain someone who has not even taken an appointment, which is totally wrong. And as a manager, at least, we should be well informed about this etiquette. I have seen so many managers. The people will take appointment, they sit and they will talk to different parties that they have not even taken an appointment. It's rude. So let's say, and this is what the hall is doing, showing them this is shows the pride. Even as they began to discuss, Mr. Hall paused several times, picking up phones and talking to persons in various places across the country. Young man, Mr. Hall said to Brahmananda, finally, quote, we are helping you get the house. It is a beautiful house, a New York City landmark. Then Mr. Hall's girlfriend called from a bar in the Caribbean. He talked to her for a while and then returned to Brahmananda and Mr. Price, who sat in the shadow at his conference table. This really represents, what I was talking about. Mr. Hall had a big contract he wanted Brahmananda to sign. Brahmananda knew that Swamiji wanted a contract, and here it was. He also knew that if he signed over the $5,000, he would have no other money and no extra income. And he knew very well. They knew it. But Swamiji wanted the billing. Swamiji himself had looked at $100,000 worth billings and had offered to buy them, even though he had very little money to back his offer. And Brahmananda always did whatever Swamiji said. To sign this contract, Brahmananda concluded, was an act of faith in Swamiji and Krishna. He didn't analytically ask, quote, where will the rest of the money come, unquote. To do so, he thought, would be like doubting Swamiji. So here he was in this big-time financier's office. Prabhupada says not to give the check to him, only to Mr. Tyler, owner. It was awesome. The millionaires were going to help. Mr. Price was at Brahmananda's elbow. Mr. Hall was telling Brahmananda that everything was all right. Quote, we are going to get you this house, unquote. Now it was actually going to happen. Here was one of the biggest men in Manhattan offering to help. And whereas Brahmananda had no money, Mr. Hall would be able to pick up the place very easily from the owner. Glancing quickly over the contract, Brahmananda signed it. It was a deal, and he gave them the check for $5,000. Haribol. As soon as Brahmananda and Mr. Price left Mr. Hall's office, there was a distinct change in Mr. Price. Although still acting as Brahmananda's friend, he now said as follows, listen, quote, gee, now you have to get this money, unquote. As they walked together on the uptown street, Mr. Price cheerfully pushed the whole thing onto Brahmananda because he signed the contract. That was the change. Before, Mr. Price had been saying that he and Mr. Hall were going to do it. But now he said that it was all up to the devotees. When you go out for raising the fund, you will learn everything. Brahmananda asked about the legal position. Mr. Price explained that only the Krishna society was bound. But what about the promises? What about Mr. Halls being so rich and wanting to help them? And Mr. Price wanting to help? Mr. Price assured Brahmananda that he and Mr. Hall did want to help. They were doing everything they could, Haribol. But Brahmananda and the other devotees should also do everything they could and come up with $20,000 to complete the down payment by the end of the month. And what if they couldn't? Mr. Price made it very clear. Quote, if you don't pay the balance in a month, then you lose your deposit. Haribol. So by the time Brahmananda reached 26 2nd Avenue, he realized he had been cheated. He was crushed. He turned to the other devotees and told them what had happened. But they could only return. What did they say? Why did you do it? So Brahmananda found Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco. Now that his eyes had been opened about Mr. Price, Brahmananda was blunt about his mistakes. That's excellent. And he told Prabhupada that he had given away the $5,000 also. At least Brahmananda Prabhu is truthful. All of it's gone? Srila Prabhupada asked. Yeah, Brahmananda replied. He heard Prabhupada hung up the phone. Brahmananda had been about to explain the whole thing, but Swamiji had just hung up without even a single word. Brahmananda placed the receiver back on the hook and he was shaken up. The next day, the trustee had a special meeting and the boys sat around in front room of Prabhupada's apartment trying to decide what to do next. Garg Muni again called Prabhupada, who advised them to stop the check at the bank. Quote, Swamiji as smart as a fox, unquote. Rai Ram smiled. Garg Muni found the bank, but it was too late. The check had already been cashed. So they consulted Mr. Goldsmith, their friendly lawyer. He said it sounded like a weak legal case. Price and Hall hadn't legally bound themselves to pay anything if the devotee failed to pay. And if devotees couldn't pay the 20,000 balance by the end of the month, they would lose their $5,000 deposit. They could sue for fraud, but court fee would be costly, even more than $5,000. Legal thing is very expensive. We should not get into it. Then, one by one, Brahmananda, Satsarup, Kirtananda, Ramarai, Garg Muni, and the others began to look at the letters from Prabhupada and discuss how he had warned them to avoid being cheated. Their greatest blunder, they began to realize, was disobeying his instructions. He had told them not to trust the promise of this businessman. And he had told them that the check should be made only to the owner, not to the financier. So within a few days, further instructions from the spiritual master came in the mail. There were admonishments, but hearing from him, even if he was chastising them was better than the pain of his hanging up the phone without a word. Quote, but you have not followed my instructions and now you are in trouble. Unquote. He wrote to the boys. He wrote to Rai Rama as follows. You are all foolish boys. I repeatedly warned you, even at the last point, that we should not pay the check unless there was agreement between Mr. Tyler and Mr. Hall. The agreement was signed like a marriage ceremony without the presence of the bridegroom. The mistake was there, and now you are repenting. Prabhupada, uniqueness about the spiritual master, they write different message to different devotees related to same incident. So then to Satsarup, Prabhupada wrote like as follows. You have asked me whether the San Francisco branch will pay some money for purchasing the house. But where is your house? And where is the purchase? So far, it is talks of Mr. Price and company in which you innocent boy have been entrapped. I do not know how I can help you in your great blunder. I can only hope that Krishna will help you. Very good. Unlike the boys and the lawyers, Prabhupada thought that the legal case against the businessman would be a strong one. I'm not a lawyer, but this is common sense affair. Mr. Hall has taken the money and he must finance to purchase the house. If he has no money to finance, then it is a cheating case, clear and simple. The culprits, he said, should be brought to criminal court. Their conspiracy and fraud were obvious and could be proven. So from the telephonic conversation of Brahmananda, it appeared to be an organized cheating case, and you have to face with courage without excusing any one of them. We are not revengeful, but we cannot lose Krishna's money for nothing. I remember when this thing happened one time, I think I must have said, but for the benefit of who has not listened, that one time Kamal Krishna Maharaj has the toothache pain and root canal need to be done. So Gurudev asked me, do you know any good dentist? And I used to go to the Chinese dentist. And it seems to me that he was a good dentist. So I told Gurudev that, yes, I know Gurudev. So Gurudev says, okay, take that appointment. And I think I mentioned to you that when the dentist asked him to get the local anesthesis, Gurudev rejected. And dentists were really surprised. That's a root canal. How can you take that pain without anesthesia local? I was sitting in the common area and he looked at me and he said, Shyam Sundar, bring my small pocket that he used to carry the tape recorder. And I remember he put his headphone and started playing the class of Prabhupada, and dentist was asking him, so he has to again remove his headphone to answer him. That, are you sure? Please nod your head if you cannot take the pain. And Gurudev said, yes. So whole thing went on. And at the end even, the dentist was so surprised. So he said that I know that somehow or other I have never seen anyone who can take this treatment without any local anesthesia. But you did. But I'm warning you as a dentist that more pain will come after the surgery has been done. So please, And then he prescribed some medicine, and Gurudev said, no, I don't need any painkiller or anything. There's another wonderful pastime related to that, but I will stick with the principle. So then, that whatever the reason, Gurudev got infection. So he called me and he said, what kind of dentist you suggest me? Look at that, how much pain I will have to go through. I feel so bad. Then I think I talked to the dentist before I take Gurudev that he is my spiritual master. He is spreading the God consciousness. Even though he was a Chinese dentist, he charged only $200 for the root canal surgery. So it was very nice of him. I was very pleased. But then, so when Gurudev got the infection, he said that please go and collect $200 from him because he didn't do a proper job. I was so afraid that doctor gives so much discount. So I was trying to convince Tamal Krishna Maharaj that Gurudev, don't worry, I will collect instead of 200, I will collect $250 by getting, at that time we were publishing the Janmashtami souvenir. So I said, I will get the full page advertisement from the doctor. So we will get not only 200, but we will get $250. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, no, I don't want, I want that my money $200 back because they have been trained by Srila Prabhupada. So then I have no other choice. I back down and, the dentist understand my position. So he returned the $200 check and then we took it to other dentists. So follow the instructions of the spiritual master as they request, not try to manipulate in any other way. This is what I learned from that incident. They ask to get the 200 back and you have to get that $200 back. That's how it works. Very wonderful lesson. So with those thoughts, I think it's already 6:55. Before the devotees leave, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, that we are getting this association and strength by joining, taking austerity. We are very grateful. As Maharaj always, Hanuman Prasad Swami Maharaj, when he leave at 3:30, he always said, many, many thanks to all of you, everyone. Maharaj used the word. How nice it is. We were talking with Maharaj and Maharaj said, it is so nice that, wake up early in the morning and see that devotees are joining and chanting Hare Krishna. This is the life. So today we will get the good opportunity that I have invited Mukundat Prabhu and his wife for the lunch at 3 o'clock.